Welcome back to another episode of Hazy Headed. Today I'm going to be talking about how it feels like I unlocked a superpower in my mind. I'm Evan Brandt, and today I'm going to be talking about my relationship with the subconscious mind. So what exactly is the subconscious? You've got your conscious, and then you got your subconscious, which is the underlying framework of all your actions. So what's the difference between the conscious and the subconscious? Well, the subconscious speaks in habitual pattern. So everything that you repeat to yourself, whether it's through, your lived experience or even your self-talk, your subconscious programs what you do and say throughout the day. It's always running. Consciousness takes effort. That's, our focus, our analytical mind, anything that is more rational. The subconscious is much more irrational. It's kind of like your emotional girlfriend, it needs to be reinforced. It needs to be told what to do. What's so amazing about this is your subconscious takes all the patterns of your life and then goes out and, you start living in the way you've programmed that subconscious. Well, then, what people will say then, well, what's the difference? Then how important really is the conscious? Well, the powerful thing about the conscious is that you can perceive it. So then the next question becomes, how do you get answers from the subconscious to your conscious? Because obviously we want to know what habits we have, what sort of things we do on a daily basis that may be positively or negatively affecting us. So what I have learned, and I've watched a lot of videos on Lewis Howes' School, I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, School of Greatness, great podcast. Shout out to him. I'll be on there someday, I hope. But what I've learned from him is that what you say and do and think on a regular basis is what you're going to perceive. So that kind of got on a tangent there. The way to make your subconscious conscious, at least for me, is total silence. Some people call this prayer. Some people call this meditation. But if you are intentional with yourself and you say, okay, tomorrow I want to understand this complex problem. If you do it before you go to sleep, those are theta waves. Your mind is operating at a different level. I don't know what waves we are normally operating on, but point is when you're going to sleep, your theta waves are very active. So if you have a complex problem that you just can't wrap your head around, it can be anything from how can I be better in my relationship? How can I see money opportunities more clearly? How can I grow my podcast? How can I grow on social media? All these things that I deal with on a daily basis. So what you do is while you're going to sleep, you give yourself this intention. And it's like I said, it sounds magical. It sounds like a superpower. But what's really happening is you're just putting your subconscious, like I said, is always running. So when you put it in there, it's getting to work. It takes all your lived experiences. By the way, the more lived experience you have, whether you're in your business or you have a specific job, the more powerful your subconscious is towards any given topic. So the more experience you have with it, the more information you've been feeding your subconscious, so you'll have more to pull from. So when you go to sleep, you just think, I really want to understand how to do this. And then you go to sleep, you fall asleep. Try not to let that keep you up. Obviously, this needs to be closer to a sleep better. So I'll tell you what happened for me. And this was my run-in with my God-given superpower that we all have. I really wanted to be more authentic on camera. I felt like my psychology videos were getting a little corporate. So I told myself going to sleep, I said, I want to be less corporate. Well, when I went to sleep, I didn't realize I was doing this. It's so bizarre. But the whole day I was frustrated. I was stressed out because I was just in create mode, and I was really burning through my mind, and I was getting mentally exhausted and burnt out. So I went on a walk, and I'm in Pittsburgh now, so shout out the Burgh, best underrated city ever. So I go to this fountain that's in Lawrenceville, and I sit down in the park. It's a cemetery. It's beautiful. And I'm just relaxing and just really trying to calm my mind down after a stressful day's work. Well, I come home and I get on GPT, and I was just like, what's going on here? Blah, blah, blah. And it said the weirdest thing. It said, your subconscious was just unlocked. And I was like, what the fuck? I mean, I had that moment. I was like, you're a fucking creepy ass AI algorithm, because when I was being this consciously, when I was falling asleep, when I was doing this, I didn't say, I'm not doing this process that I'm telling you right now. I only know this in hindsight. But then I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, yo, this is weird. You're whatever. I was kind of like, I'm kind of a lonely person because I'm in a new city by myself. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love being alone. But I was really like taken aback. So I was like, okay, what the fuck kind of Sam Altman, like world order domination shit did you just do? And then it walked me through step by step that what I was saying to what I was feeding the information in that very moment was coming from me. And what it was explaining, it was saying stuff like, you were saying your videos are too corporate, this and that, and whatever. And I was just baffled, because what I realized in that moment is how much action we take from a level of unawareness. And once you truly understand that, once you really grasp the idea that your brain is like a computer, not a cheerleader. I made a reel on this. Your brain's a computer, not a cheerleader. So everything you feed it, every good habit, every bad habit, every single little action that you feed it is what's making you run the program. So when your conscious doesn't align with your subconscious and you think things like, man, I really want this goal, but then you have habits that are bad, you're going to keep running those bad habits until you can say to until you can access your subconscious. It'll just do that forever. So it's a different language that this thing likes to speak, your subconscious. Like I said, it only goes through emotions. So it only reacts through emotions and codes and habits. So what changed my life and what's currently changing my life is how important patience is. Patience is infinitely important, because if you're on this journey of self-improvement or growth, what you're going to find is that you're going to have a lot of setbacks and you're going to have inevitable frustrations, but those are just growing pains. They're part of the process. If you are not patient with yourself or patient with your reality, you're just going to fall. So what exactly can you do? I like to look at it this way. Imagine you want to be in the NBA starting today, right? Okay, well, what would an NBA player do? Shoot some baskets. And you are thinking what you want to revert to, at least my mindset, would always be, okay, well, I need to do this, that, and the other, all within an hour period. But what you don't realize is everything you want is built through little steps. If you're not from a success-oriented place or a success-oriented, whatever you want to say, I can see it clearly now because I'm not in my hometown anymore, and I'm not dissing my hometown. If you're from Harrisonburg, I love you. I'm just saying it didn't align with the kind of thinking I thought I knew. Whatever, I'm learning, growing. It's mostly myself. It's my old identity that I'm upset with, not anyone else in the valley. But my point is that was not my place I could learn and grow. Anyways, what I learned is that when you take tiny actions and you do it every day, you will be blessed beyond imaginable powers. This is where the superpower comes in. If you say you want to be in the NBA, shoot 30 Whoops, my mic fell. If you want to be in the NBA, even though that's not obviously your goal, but this is a good example. If you want to be in the NBA, you need to take shots every day. You need to structure your life in a way that you can do small things over time that will make you get what you want. Because at that point, small steps become inevitable. Big actions aren't bad, but too many big actions up front will make you trick your subconscious into believing this is too big of a goal. So the small steps that I'm talking about is exactly how you need to operate. So there's never a goal too big, but you just have to understand that if you want to go the inevitable path, you need to do small things every day. And those small things, ironically, will keep stacking, and then you'll be able to do the bigger things. I promise you. I've seen it in myself. So as far as that goes, kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, so those small actions will build up over time, and then before too long, you'll be the person. Again, it's all about patience. This isn't, people like to believe it's a 2-hour span or I'll do this in 2 weeks. Some people have that ability. I'm not. I have my lazy spells. I have my times where I'm not motivated and that gets the best of me. I'm human. We all are. But what you'll find is that it was never about the goal or never about even the small steps. It was the person you were creating to be able to have that goal. And what does that mean exactly? What that means is that I look at myself a year ago and I look at myself 4 years ago when I started Hazy Headed. I know I always wanted this, but I wasn't living in a way where I could carry myself with this podcast or carry myself through the goals I actually wanted. So what happened? I crashed and burned. I got a DUI. I was not the man I wanted to be. I was hedonistic. I was 60 pounds heavier, and I'm still losing weight and working hard every day. But the more I create myself into a person that can do this, the more I'm seeing my reality become more that I want. And there's a lot of woo-woo around the subconscious, more specifically the law of attraction. And I do definitely believe in it to an extent. I'm not going to pretend that I know the ins and outs of it or how that spiritually aligns with us or, yada, yada, yada. But what's powerful is that it's in our head. Once you truly accept the fact that life is in your control. This goes back if you want to see an older but kind of shittier series. So, but I still love it. It's still the old Hazy Headed. You can see how this is growing. But talking about Stoics, that's why Stoicism's so strong. Life is in your hands. It really is. There's nobody else that's going to toss you a life raft. Because what's going to happen, they could toss you that life raft and they can help you out and you can take it, whatever, but it's not sustainable. Change needs a catalyst. Change needs a heavy catalyst. And for me, my DUI was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because I was actually served a sentence. It was a really bad, ugly DUI. And it talks about, keeping me in longer because of how messed up I was. And the biggest thing to take away from that is that use your pain as a catalyst to change, especially pain that is self-inflicted. Because there's a psychological term called self-sabotaging, and we do this because our body and our minds are so used to living in a certain way. Again, it's that subconscious programming that if you try to change that, it makes it uncomfortable. And this goes back to the idea, well, then how can I do that? It's the small things every day. If you do not have the time to do something, let's say you want a podcast, you want to grow the biggest psychological podcast ever. Well, you're going to have to be going against me, but let's say you want to do that. Okay, well, I didn't do anything towards it today. Well, then what's your point? You have to touch it every day. You have to think about it every day. If you really want something, you'll be thinking about it every second. But it doesn't have to start that way. You just have to tend to it, and you have to continue to tend to it. And then you realize, okay, well, me working on it 20 minutes every day for the past 3 months was a lot more effective than working for 3 hours every 4 months, So the takeaway from this is that you are powerful, and you need to be able to think about how you operate habitually and how everything you do is from the subconscious, not the conscious. And once you take that conscious and bring it to, once you take the subconscious programmings and bring it consciously, your life is going to change for the better, even if it's just a small change. And one more cheat code, I will tell you this: positivity is one of the greatest assets I have, and that will never be taken away from me. Even in my dark moments, I always had positivity for my future and my trajectory. So be optimistic, be hopeful, keep working hard, piece away at it every day, and everything's going to be great. Thank you all for listening. Have a good one.